HOA Karen buried my driveway in snow. 3 minutes later, I deployed a convoy of plows. Have you ever wondered what happens when a petty tyrant's need for control collides with a force of nature they can't possibly comprehend? I moved to the mountains for the snow. As the director of emergency operations for Summit County, being close to the action during a blizzard isn't just a convenience, it's a necessity. My cabin is modest, nestled at the very entrance of a prestigious community called Aspen Ridge Estates. From here, I can be at the county's Emergency Operations Center, EOC, in 15 minutes. My life is a series of calculated responses to chaos. Little did I know, the biggest chaos agent I'd face wasn't a winter storm, but my new neighbor, Susan. Susan was the HOA president, a woman who wielded her power with the precision of a surgeon and the warmth of a glacier. Our conflict began, ironically, over snow removal. The HOA had an exclusive contract with a cut-rate plow service that left a mess and was notoriously slow. I had my own arrangement with a heavy-duty crew, the same guys who held contracts for clearing paths for ambulances. Susan approached me during the first light snowfall of the season, clipboard in hand. "Dr. Thorne," she said, her tone leaving no room for discussion. "I see you've had your driveway plowed by an unauthorized vendor. For the sake of uniformity and to protect the delicate asphalt edging, all residents must use the HOA-approved service." I gave her a polite but firm smile. "Susan, I appreciate the heads up, but my job requires me to have 24/7 clearance during weather events. I can't rely on a service that might not show up for hours. It's a matter of public safety." Her eyes, cold and blue, narrowed. "Rules are rules. They are what separate us from anarchy. This is an exclusive community and we maintain certain standards. You are not exempt." I tried to explain that if I was snowed in, the entire county's emergency response could be hobbled. I was the one who coordinated the ambulances, the fire departments, the search and rescue teams. She waved a dismissive hand. "Nonsense. We are all subject to the weather. You'll just have to wait your turn like everyone else." The standoff simmered for weeks. Then came the storm forecasters called a once-in-a-decade blizzard. The snow began falling at dusk, thick and heavy. By 2 a.m., my phone rang. It was the EOC. The storm was worse than predicted. Power lines were down, roads were impassable, and the first wave of emergency calls was coming in. "We need you here, Eris. Now." I threw on my gear, my mind already mapping out resource allocation. I got into my county-issued 4x4, the engine turning over with a reassuring roar. I flicked on the headlights and my heart sank. At the end of my short driveway where it met the main road was a 6-foot wall of snow. It was dense, compacted, and reinforced with ice, deliberately constructed. The HOA's plow truck was just pulling away, and I saw her, Susan, standing on her heated porch across the street, illuminated by her landscape lighting, a smug look of triumph on her face. She gave me a little wave. She had trapped me. At the most critical moment, she had prioritized her petty need for control over everything else. A hot, white rage flashed through me, but my training took over. Panic is a luxury you can't afford in my line of work. I grabbed the encrypted radio from its cradle on my dashboard. My voice was calm, clipped, and cold as the ice outside. "This is Director Thorne to dispatch. I have a Code 3 deliberate obstruction at my primary residence. I am activating Emergency Protocol 7 Delta. I need the nearest heavy-duty municipal plow convoy diverted to my coordinates immediately. My ETA to the EOC is now compromised. And patch me through to Sheriff Brody's personal cell." While I waited the 90 seconds it would take for my assets to arrive, I hit the save button on my vehicle's dashcam. The high-definition footage was damningly clear, the plow truck angling its blade, pushing snow into a pile, and Susan across the street, pointing, directing the driver. The driver, a young man I now recognized, looked hesitant, but she was clearly giving him orders. He was just a pawn. The real stakes weren't my driveway. It was the elderly man whose oxygen machine had lost power. It was the pregnant woman who had gone into labor 6 weeks early. It was the family whose roof had just collapsed under the weight of the snow. Every second I was stuck here, the risk to them grew exponentially. Susan hadn't just blocked me in, she had recklessly endangered every single person in our county. 3 minutes later, my solution arrived. Not one plow, but a convoy of 3 of the county's biggest, most powerful municipal plows, their yellow lights cutting through the blizzard, their engines a deafening roar. They descended on the snow wall like wolves on a carcass. In less than a minute, the wall was gone, obliterated, my path cleared. Susan, still watching from her porch, now looked on with an expression of slack-jawed disbelief. I didn't give her a second glance. I sped off into the storm, my real work just beginning. The next 24 hours were a blur of caffeine and crisis management. We coordinated dozens of rescues and medical transports. And yes, there was a heart attack victim whose ambulance had to be rerouted because the primary access route was initially blocked. A delay of 9 critical minutes. A delay caused by me being trapped. The following afternoon, with the storm subsided, I drove to Susan's house. I wasn't alone. Sheriff Brody, a big man with a face that had seen it all, was with me, his official vehicle parked behind mine. Susan opened the door, a fake, brittle smile plastered on her face. Dr. Thorne. And Sheriff, I'm so glad you're safe. That was quite a storm. Can I offer you some coffee? No, thank you, Susan, the sheriff said, his voice flat. We're here to discuss your actions during the emergency declaration. Specifically, instructing your plow driver to imprison a county official in her home. Her smile faltered. I have no idea what you're talking about. The plow driver must have misunderstood where to put the excess snow. That's not what he said, I countered, my voice quiet. And it's not what my dashcam shows. Sheriff Brody took a step forward. Ma'am, we have video evidence and a sworn statement from the driver, who is cooperating fully. He stated you explicitly ordered him to block Dr. Thorne's driveway to teach her a lesson. What you did wasn't a petty neighborhood dispute. It's a felony. It's called interference with emergency services. We also have the log from the delayed ambulance for Mr. Henderson's heart attack. A civil suit for reckless endangerment is likely. The color drained from Susan's face. The full weight of her actions finally crashed down on her. This wasn't about a fine from the HOA, it wasn't about being scolded. It was about lawyers, courtrooms, and potentially prison. She stammered, trying to formulate a defense, mentioning something about her prior career as a city planner and how important orderly design was. It was a pathetic glimpse into a mind obsessed with a control she no longer had. Her downfall was swift and absolute. She was charged, her case making regional news. The HOA board, facing a potential lawsuit from the county, immediately removed her and issued a formal apology. Her allies in the community turned their backs, horrified that her obsession had put them all at risk. She lost her status, her power, and her reputation in a single catastrophic act of hubris. I felt no pleasure in her ruin, only a grim vindication. I saw the system I dedicated my life to upholding work as it should. Her petty kingdom of rules had crashed against the real world, and the real world had not flinched. It's a stark reminder that the line between order and tyranny can be as thin as a pane of glass in a blizzard. So, when does a person's desire for control become a danger to everyone around them, and what is the appropriate response to a threat that wears a neighbor's face?